Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here again for another episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables like the kind you find in tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them, a random die roller, an electronic die roller, and audience participation from those of you who may be in the live chat to randomly create cartooning prompts. I take a who and a what generated randomly, and smash them together and I do a cartoon. All because it's fun. Drawing is fun. That is the whole point of this, and I encourage you, if you're watching live or on replay, to go grab yourself a notebook or a sketchbook or your favorite electronic writing implement and join me. You don't have to draw what I'm drawing, just draw. Draw for the fun of it. Just kind of do it for the fun. Do some doodling. Maybe you just draw some triangles and circles and squares, or just some scribbles. Whatever. You know what? I think that if you do, you're gonna find that you're having fun, and that's what it's all about. Hello, Michael in chat. Thank you for joining me, Professor. Yeah, well, I was a professor once. I'm glad you could be here. As always, I will be doing what I'm doing on my Apple iPad Pro using an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate. None of this is sponsored. Not at all. I'm still open to it, but so far, no. I tell you that because those are the tools that I use. They're also... the iPad is not cheap. It's not super expensive. But Procreate, if you're using an Apple-based, an iOS-based machine, Procreate is a terrific and easy and very natural app. Again, not sponsored. I just love it so. Hello, Ravenlore. Thank you for joining me, sir. What did I teach? Asked Michael. Well, I taught English as a foreign language. English as a second language. I taught it in a lot of different places, but among the places, several junior colleges. I have also taught other things, but not those I would not be professor for. So, what are you going to do? Hello, Carrie from Maryland. Thank you for joining me. Glad you could make it. All right, well, you grab this old iPad that I just was talking about and switch some things around on it so that it's ready to show it to you. And what did I not do? I'll tell you what I didn't do. I won't tell you what I didn't do because I'm going to do it now so you'll never see. But I'll tell you, what I didn't do was turn on the die roller ahead of time. All right, time to get going. So let us come over here and switch the views. And these are the random encounter tables we are using tonight for our drawing. And let's go over to the die roller and get our very first prompt for the week. Here we go, once or twice, a third time. 6. 6, we know on the Who chart, 6 is adventurers. So, adventurers are going to be doing something. Once or twice, a third time. 3. So, 6 and 3. Come back here, and that's adventurer. And 3 is valet parking. So, that's what you just want, is your adventuring group to be handling your valet parking. That should be fun. Alright, so I'm going to turn that off. I really did not get ready ahead of time the way I usually do. I just kind of jumped on. I'm so familiar and comfortable with you people. I just jumped on. Alright, let me make sure we're on the sketch layer. I like to do my sketching in blue. I talk about this many weeks because people will ask. I do my sketch layers in blue, which is a callback to my earlier days doing drawing on physical media, where I used blue because many many cartoonists and artists that worked in uh, print, particularly newsprint, uh, did that because the scanning of the day, the photo reproduction of the day, could not pick up the blue. It was called non-repro blue, non-preproductive blue. So you didn't have to worry about completely erasing it. And that's why sometimes if you see original art of comic books or comic strips or other people who worked in line art for print publication, you will still sometimes see faint blue sketches underneath it. That's because they didn't have to erase it all, and it would just get lifted out. Now I just do it because it's kind of a comfort. It's what I used to do. I still feel comfortable doing my sketching in blue. Don't put the horses near the dragons again. Yeah. All right. So, well, I'm thinking uh, valet. So, tell you what, I'm even going to start like this. I'm going to start with a car. I usually don't. I don't. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm thinking immediately about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you remember that, where the parking attendants took the car and went joyriding with it. Now, the question is, which of our adventurers? So I have a set of adventurers I usually do my drawing in. That I use as my default adventurers. And the question is, which one, or should I have driving? So here's what I think I'm going to get. I'm going to have that back there. We're going to have a kind of a, like we're doing through a fisheye. We'll have a I'm going to have, so the guy on the left here, thinking it's the guy who left the car to be parked. On the right is one of our other adventurers. I think that I'm going to make it our big fighter guy. And he's going to have a little valet parking suit. And I think that I'm going to have the halfling is going to be the one that's driving. And half coming out, or, you know, fully coming out of the seat. Maybe that's too much, but I think maybe that's a little too much. Because he's got to be driving, right? So, but he is coming up out of the seat. Maybe we can. I'm already adding so much to this. I try and keep these very simple, and yet I get into the drawing of it. I have ideas. I'm like, you know, I want to add more to it. And then our adventurer, our fighter character could be trying to say something comforting to the guy who just gave his car over to be parked. Here we go. I think that's a good. I can go with this from the roughs. Let's see. Oh, Dale jumped in. Hello, Dale. Glad to see you. Um, the question will be what I can have the adventurer saying that will be funny, hopefully. I'm thinking something like, he's, uh, he doesn't have a license, but and then go with a D&D joke. He doesn't have a license, but he's got advantage on maneuvers. I mean, that's bad, but something like that. All right. So let's see. I want to come in here, and we're gonna go to this. Yeah, the lines layer. So we're on the sketch layer down there, lines layer. So again, now I want to start with lines I'm confident in. Weirdly, I'm going to make that car, and I say weirdly because I'm usually not very good. I'm not especially confident in my ability to draw cars that look like real cars. But the good thing here is it doesn't really have to look real. It's just got to be understandable as a car. And I am confident with the layout that we've got for it. So go there. Have the car. If I and I don't have to finish all of it, but if I can get the basic shape, kind of like how I started in the sketch. If I can get the basic shape of the car down, then I can work on the characters. And don't usually give this guy quite such big eyes, but here he is super excited about driving this car. And here I'm going very fast and loose with it. I often will say that you don't have to get it 100% right. You just have to get it right enough that when someone looks at it, they don't question what you've got there. I think, particularly once we drop some color in there to establish that where what's legs and what are the seats of the car. That will have it. Alright, so come in here. Again, weirdly enough, let's get down to the wheels. That's where I'm a little less certain of myself. Mainly because wheels don't really work this way on cars. But what you gonna do? Again, I don't have to get it right. I just have to get it right enough that people won't question it. Although, I tell you what, I'm not worried about are people who really know cars, because I'm never going to get it right enough for them. So if car enthusiasts look at this and say, well, you can't do that. Wheels don't go under like that. That's just not how it works. I'm not worried. They're already they're already looking for more detail than I was ever going to get. There, I'm going to have the elf wizard be the other one that's in the car. One of the weird things about the elf wizard is that sometimes I draw the elf wizard as male and sometimes as female. I guess that's not that weird, but originally this character uh, was always a male character, and I have since just kind of played around with it, depending on the drawing and what I needed. Um, because the basic design, the long hair, and the um, elfin ears and clothing made it something that was very easy to be kind of gender neutral, or just kind of switch back and forth. It went either way. All right, I'll probably put another wheel back there. And now we come back up to our fighter. And this is the advantage for doing these, is that I have these characters that I've been doing for a long time, so I don't have to think much about how I want them to go, and that lets me do some more detailed work very quickly. When I'm doing monsters and such, they're generic creatures, and I don't worry about that either. We've got a lot of chat going on. I like that. I'm sorry, I'm heads down because I got a lot going on, and I want to do this quickly. Was it last week or the week before? This show is not at all on a timer, but I want to keep it punchy. I wanted to keep it going. I want to get it done quickly enough that when people see the replay, they don't say, "Oh man, I can't sit through 2 hours of that." I want it to be long enough to be entertaining for everyone here, and short enough that people that see it coming on the replay will say, "Yeah, I'll take a chance on that." All right, that's looking good. And I still have the question of what exactly he's going to be saying. But so really kind of need All right, let me take those lines out. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm looking at this, and I realize there's one thing I do need to add. So I'm going to grab our two guys here that I just finished drawing. And you see that little dotted line? That means I'm grabbing them, and I'm going to move them down here and tilt them a little. And actually, I guess then I'm going to grab the car too. I had it tilted to take it off screen. We don't need to see the whole of the car. Or, yeah, maybe we'll have them taken off like that. I'm shifting everything around. Moving. This is one of the beautiful things. So I'm going to turn the sketch layer off so I can look at this a little better. One of the beautiful things about working digitally is you can do this. I can move stuff around, and I'm going to go back and grab these guys again. I'm trying to make room. Maybe I'll make them smaller and put them back here a little. There we go. I think that's coming together. Move them now. Now, whoa! Don't want to do that. Yeah, so when you're working digitally, now, one of the problems is because I moved this. Now, if I move it back, you see, I've cut off the car. Because I moved it off screen and then grabbed something else, the rest of the car is gone. But I'm going to move that down a little lower there. Come on, there we go. All right, that's what I want. Doesn't really help, does it? What I was trying to do is find a place to put in the valet parking sign, just like a little sign. And I guess I'm going to have to come down here, turn the sketch back on, and use it. I'm eating up all that time I was saving. I'm going to come back here to the sketch layer, and I'm going to say that it's going to come over here. Valet parking. And then that'll be the alright. And now I can come back to the lines layer and zoom in here. I get to erase those legs I already drew because now they're going to be right. Now the valet parking sign's going right in front of them. So I still need a way to phrase this. I need a thing for the fighter to be saying. And I'll go back. The basic idea is saying that our attendant, our halfling attendant who's driving, doesn't have a license, but he does have. If we go back to a 3rd edition specific reference, say he does have a use magical device, but I was thinking something like it says advantage on vehicle move actions. That might be it. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Let's scroll back here. Something about vehicle proficiency. Yeah. For vehicle proficiency. For a Ford Ranger. That's funny. Wizard can cast men cantrip. Yes. That's funny. Hi from Spokane. Hello, Melanie. Thank you for dialing in and joining. Well, I mean, you're not dialing, but, you know, surfing over and joining us. This is great to see you virtually. All right, so I'm going to do some coloring, and then we'll come back and put some words in there. I do like the men cantrip. It's like that's a good way to go. Let's see. I got to switch to my gloaming brush, which is going to give me that nice um, crayony slash markery color. Going to make it a red car because, of course, it is. Blue gray for the bumpers. A dark blue faux black for the wheels. You know what? That's the color I want for the part we can see. I want an even darker faux black for the sides. That's not dark enough. A little darker than that. There we go. I want something that the eye definitely reads as black, but that, we can still see all the real black line work through. Have some gold hubcaps. And a green, I don't know why, green seat. Who would buy that with a red car with green seats? This guy's got no taste. Alright, now I'm going to come back here to our faux black for our rogue's clothing, most of his clothing. I'm still thinking about how to phrase this thing. Now, the key very often to doing gags is to get just the right phrasing. And as I often will say here, we're not going to land it. We're not going to stick the landing joke, pun intended here with this drawing. We're not going to stick the landing on getting the phrasing perfect. Because that's the kind of thing that takes some thinking and finessing and working out to get just right. But we can certainly come up with something which is mostly funny. Just grab some colors here to finish the job. They don't have to be great, they just have to work kinda. I think the downside of putting the characters, I now really wish I had kept them in their armor and fantasy outfits, because I realize whenever I do this, once I take them out of that, they just look like ordinary people. And this whole idea that this is adventurers is lost. Oh well. One of these weeks I'll learn. One of these weeks I'll learn. I'm going to put our guy here. in a aloha shirt. I like doing the aloha shirt. So what would we go with? If it's there, maybe that color, green. I guess it's just going to look like polka dots, but we'll all know the intention was for that to be an aloha shirt. And then I'm going to put some color in the cloud that he's zooming off on. There we go. Okay, drawing-wise, I think that's it. Now the question is figuring out that what the caption is going to be. Let him try. He's good with dragons, says Carrie. Was it really a good idea to let the barbarian? Well, he's not. It's the rogue. You can't stop him. They're called car spats when the wheels are covered. Oh, are they? See, I didn't know that. CK says, I have dark hair. Well, yes. Well, I don't think you're in this drawing. I know you think you're in every drawing. I don't really see it. But it doesn't. The other thing is, what do I know? I'm just drawing it. There's a thing to. It's hard to get. I was going to say young artists. It's not just young. It's any kind of creative person who's not used to working in publishing and getting their stuff out there. It's hard to get them to really understand that once it's out there, once they're done, you have control over it as long as you're working on it. But once you are done, you no longer have control. You have no say over what the audience thinks about it. And what the audience sees or the audience says, that's the truth. That's what the world is going to know about it. So you got to be sanguine with that. All right, so here we go. I'm going to say got it doesn't have a license. But he's got advantage on vehicular move actions. Yeah. I'd like, you know what, I really, really do like the casting mending. And I'm gonna say though that falls into what I often will say to several other people that are here regularly, giving very good suggestions. That if we'd gone with a slightly different drawing, that might have been a good core hook for this. But it's not. This drawing is clearly about him driving. So having the one line be about her is not ideal. Also, it's not clear that she's a wizard. Again, my fault for not keeping her in the wizard gear. So that's two things. That's the first thing. Second thing is, if this was a multi-panel joke, then we could absolutely work to that and work that in, and it would kill. That would be a great line. But it's different when you're working with single panels. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, in part because I talk about it here. But when you're doing single panel gags, it's important that in order for them to work, the reader has to be able to understand all of the backstory, just automatically understand and intuit what the backstory is. And everything in there that you do that makes them have to think, or where they might not get exactly what you mean, is a knock against it. And it doesn't take very many knocks for something to just no longer really work as a single panel cartoon. I've been thinking about doing a workshop or an online class about doing single panel cartoons. And so that's one of the reasons I've been trying to get this idea straight in my head. I've had a lot of people, a lot of friends and who are cartoonists, and friends who aren't cartoonists, who come up with ideas and say, "Hey, you should do this as a cartoon." And the problem that I think comes up more often than anything else is the well, you know, it's not that isn't funny. In fact, it is, but it's not. As a single panel cartoon, you're putting too much. You're asking too much. Too big an ask on your audience to understand the background that you've come up with for this. All of the setup, right? It has to be immediately understood. I'm not saying that what we've got here is perfect. I think that it needs to be workshopped a bit to get right, but it's got that. You don't need anything other than what you're automatically intuiting here to get it. So now I've got to turn off the sketch layer again. Come back to my gloaming, because we've got to put a little color, a little extra color. We need to, oops. So we need to go to the coloring layer. I'm going to put that layer underneath because I want to go, I don't want to do this quickly, so I'm just going to add the color underneath them. That way I don't have to worry about making it avoiding what I've already colored. Alright, so let's tell you what I do want to do here. If I do this, now it looks like there's a shadow of this thing taken off. Alright, there we go. Good. Ugh. I was ahead of the game at 15 minutes. I'm behind the game 10 minutes longer than I wanted for this. But it doesn't really matter. You know, I just play these games with myself. Drop in here, and I'm going to put a little stand at the bottom. And we've got he doesn't have a license, but he's gets, oh. But he gets advantage, and maybe I want to make advantage a little darker. He gets advantage on vehicular move actions. There we go. Woo! Boy! Woo, boy! I got a little complicated. Every week I tell myself, next week, go back and just do the simple drawings. I was looking at some of the stuff I did, and some of the old episodes, stuff I like a lot. And I was doing things much simpler. I gotta get back to that. Yeah, the mend cantrip. That I'm keep looking at that up there, and that would have been that's a good joke. It might be worth me trying to think up a multi-panel or a single page or maybe 2-page gag to do that, or a series of, like, if this was a daily comic strip, where you wind up telling a story over the course of the week, and you can build on what went before. That would be a Tuesday or Wednesday gag with the mend spell. That would work. All right. Whew. All right. We got done with one. And what am I going to do now? I'm going to stretch out a bit. I'm going to say, oh, hey, Becky, thanks for showing up. I see you there. My first practice driving with my dad sent my exit to the shopping center on Sunrise Highway. Oh, dear. Sunrise Highway? We got another Long Islander here. Okay, so let's come here. There's our first drawing. Is Adventure Valet Parking. I'm going to open up and go to the sketch layer for 2. I'm going to come back here and make sure I set my pens right. And I'm going to turn off round 1. I'm going to turn on round 2. I'm going to turn on our encounter tables. I'm going to take a deep breath. Whew. And we'll go and we'll do another one. You ready? I'm ready. All right, so we're going to come here and move over back here and roll up another encounter. So let's see what we get. We got once, twice, third time is 3. 3 for our who. And a once, twice, a third time, 2. 3 and 2. Which, if we come back here, says a Griffon in a construction crew. Okay. Griffon and a construction crew, or Griffon on a construction crew. To leave it open. So Griffon is, for those of you who don't remember, a creature that is body of a lion, head of an eagle. Sometimes their front feet are shown as talons, sometimes not. Griffon perched on a castle under construction. They can't get him to move. That's okay. All right. That's a good idea. Let's see what else we can get. Griffon and the construction crew. I do kind of like, I'm just going to kind of draw here. I do like this, in my head, I've got an idea of a Griffon here with a yellow hard hat on. Maybe an orange vest. Holding the stop sign. That's what immediately is coming into my head. I guess the a gag here. Now that or could be stop, could be slow. Um, um, the gag here. I don't know. I mean, if I was going to look for a gag here, I'm going to make this a little smaller so I can move it around. I might have a couple of other construction people here, with a jackhammer or something, and they'd be saying something like, "No one." Uh, uh, I, the joke I'm thinking of, and I don't know what the voice to it would be, is that when I see people on construction uh, work, very often you got someone holding up slow, and the people that are driving drive me crazy. They go past the guy with the slow sign, slow, and then speed up once they're past it. And so they're just driving. They're in fact increasing speed as they go past the people that you're supposed to drive slow for. So, damn it. Maybe in the interest of keeping this one simple, I won't worry about a punchline gag, and I will keep it simple. Here's the other thing I'm thinking, and CKB, this will interest you to hear. I'm thinking a bunch of the uh, a bunch of the stickers that I've done over the past year or so have come out of drawings from earlier in this series. And the more complicated the comic I do here, the less it's likely to be good for a sticker. And this, I think, has a possibility. This has sticker possibilities. I don't know that it'll necessarily make it. Alright, that's enough sketching. I can work on that. Boo. Well, you know what? Sometimes you gotta risk the ire of the fans. Here's the other thing: when you're doing art, those of you who are doing your own drawing here, which I hope some of you are, remember that in the end, you if you think of something and that's what you want to do, and you're drawing for your own entertainment, which I basically am. I mean, I'm happy you guys are here, but I'm drawing for my own entertainment. Uh, if you've got an idea, go with it. Trust your instincts. I'm not sure about where I want that Griffon to be looking, so I'm going to change the eye there. Take that out. No. Alright, what I want to do is put a little light line in there because I want the pad of the paws to be a lighter color than the rest of the fur. Likewise here, I want the chest ruff to be a lighter color. still trying to figure out where I want the Griffon to be looking. I tell you, again, I may not be pleasing the crowd with this decision, but I'm liking what this is looking like. I'm not sure that there's a sticker in this, but I'm still thinking there might be. Now, all right. Here's where we get a little bit of a problem. I'll take out the beak here. I don't know if you all remember me ever talking about it, but sometimes we'll talk about tangents, and you can't have. There's another one of those things. It's about not confusing the eye of your viewer, and you don't want two lines to be touching, to be tangential, if they aren't related. And the fact that sign, that doesn't look like an eagle anymore. That's the problem. I'm going to come back to my sketch layer and play around with that for a second. I need to make it, so right now we have right here, if you're going to make it red so you can see it easier. Right here, red, come on. There we go. Right here, the stop sign and the beak are touching, and that's no good. That's going to cause confusion. So I need to, maybe just need to make the sign smaller over here, and then I can come back to the beak being where it was, like that. I think that's the solution. The solution I was going for was making the beak smaller, but that's not going to be the solution that works. Because as I was changing the beak size, it made it look like it's made it stop looking like an eagle. All right. Let's come back and put. Right, I'm on the right layer. Good. Then I can come over here and the sign will be smaller. Again, I'm taking advantage of the fact that Procreate will let me draw a roughly circular shape, and it will round it out and make it a regular circle, a regular oval there. I could also make it an exact circle. It's a very it's a very useful tool. I know that I talked about that a couple of weeks ago too. It'll do that. So here it again. I see a rough circle. It'll make it an oval. I can also make it a perfect circle. Same thing with lines. I do a wiggly line. It snaps it into a straight line. I can make it a horizontal line, and it'll move it around in increments, so it can be vertical. Very, very useful little tool. As I was saying when we talked about this last time, sometimes when I'm telling people or encouraging people to draw, they'll say to me, I can't draw a straight line, and I have to tell them, Neither can I. That's why I have tools that let me draw the straight line. Drawing a straight line is hard. Drawing a circle is hard. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. We'll take out the sketch layer. Look up and see what's going on here in the chat. Is he looking through the magic mirror from Romper Room? No, but that's that's funny. That's a good reference. Oh, Romper Room. The things we used to watch when we were kids, hey? Alright. Let's go to the colors layer. And we'll start. You're going to switch over to my gloaming brush again. And we're going to put some colors in. Remember that I'm doing the coloring roughly the shapes within the shapes. Because that is a quick way to do it. You don't have to color everything. And if you do it this way, it is a nice little added touch that it takes advantage of the, I was talking before about, not just before, I talk a lot about how you don't want to give the, to make your viewers see something that's not there. Except sometimes you do. You want them to see, but you want to make sure they're seeing what you want them to see. And here, by creating these shapes within shapes, I'm making them see those shapes, which creates the idea that there's more context, there's more texture, there's more shape within the drawing. And that I've done a better job coloring it, right? That I've managed to bring out. Look at that. He brought out all that shape. How nice. What a talented way. So smart and handsome, too. All right. Come here. I want to have a very orange vest. I want to have a less orange beak. I want to have a yellow hat, yellow safety hat. Back to the red around the sign. I think they're yellow on the inside, aren't they? And now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to use a light blue to add some shading on that white to make it look. Again, I talk a lot about this. See how that changed that? If I go back, it just kind of looks blank, just kind of flat and not even necessarily purposefully white. It just kind of looks undone. But if I add these little bits of shading in, that's maybe too many. Little bits of shading in, it now looks, the whole thing, it doesn't make it look blue, it makes it look more white. Those are the shadows. Again, you're fooling your viewer's eyes and taking advantage of it. Alright, but having done that, I want to add a little bit of shading to other things too. Not a lot, but a little here and a little there. so that we get the same kind of effect. There we go. That's too dark and too fat. Just want to draw the right amount of attention. And you learn. You learn by practice. All right. So, no, not quite done. I must have. Here we go. There we go. Looking good. And we've got a Griffon on the construction crew. Longer handle on the sign. Yeah. I toyed with that. I'm not sure. I think a longer handle would be could go. I don't think it needs it, and I think that by making it small, it plays up the idea that the Griffon is really big. And without in a drawing where I did what I was talking about at the beginning, and we included a couple of other people in there to give a scale to the Griffon, that would be less of a concern for me. I like the idea with that we all know how big that sign is supposed to be. The fact that it's this tiny little thing in the Griffon's hand, for me, speaks to the fact that it's a big Griffon. But there's the kind of thing where you're right. You know, Becky or anyone watching, if you look at that and it instead to you says that sign's just too small, well then you're right. This is what I was saying earlier. That in the end, I finished drawing and I had ideas. You get to decide whether or not they're right, whether they worked or not. But I get to decide what I'm going to do. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to put a little stand. Ooh, I'm going to go back to my inking brush. Put a little stand in the corner because we are done here. We've got a Griffon on the construction crew. Very nice, very nice. I'm applauding you, folks. I'm not applauding myself. I do that after I go off the air. All right. How's everyone doing out there? Y'all having a good week? How's we're halfway through August already. It's the 15th today. We're halfway through August. September's almost here. Summer's almost over. Get out there and enjoy it while you can. So, let me see here. I am going to... I've had my little drink. I've had my little chat with you. If you're watching this on replay, drop a little note down and drop a comment in. Tell me how things are going. How's your summer going? Are you have any plans left before Labor Day? Anything you're going to do while there is still August left to play around with? Let me know. Okay, so we're going to close out round 2 and open up round 3. And back to the blue on the inking. We're going to turn on our... all the back-to-school college kids are back already. Yeah, you know what? I was just talking to my sister the other night, and she was telling me about her kids who are all going back to school, back to college. And we were commiserating that, I mean, when I went to school, it didn't start this early. I mean, it's not even like one of those things were better in my day. It's just different. I mean, it did not start this early. I did not ever go to college before at the very earliest, the very last week of August, and that was usually in orientation week. And same thing for elementary and high school. Never went to almost most years. We didn't go back to school until after Labor Day, and it was right around. It was either it depends on where Labor Day fell, but yeah, things are just different. I'm not even saying better or worse. It's amazing to me how different they are now than when I grew up. But then I'm getting old. Getting old. Gonna be 60 this year. Holy cats! In October. I don't know if you I don't know if you guys know this. My birthday's in October. I really like my birthday, and even with me turning 60, I still like my birthday. So yeah, that's coming up. Whew. Didn't see that one, and have that on my dance card. Well, I mean, I guess I did because I intended to make it, but just didn't expect to make it so soon. Okay, I will now come and roll the dice one more time. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on, there we go. Roll the dice one more time. We're going to do one more drawing, and then we will call it for the evening. Your grandnephew's birthday's in October, too? Happy birthday in advance to your grandnephew. I guess it's time to announce this. I will be going to Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin, and that will be the weekend of my birthday. So I will be at a convention for the weekend of my birthday. If any of you out there are going to be there, stop by and say hi. I'm thinking that I should try and do some kind of meetup. I'm not a guest. I don't have any programming, but I suppose I can make my own programming. We'll see. All right, here we go. We're going to do one more time. We're going to roll it once or twice, a third time. 3, we just did 3. Oh, no, do that again. Once or twice, a third time. 6. Oh, it's messing with me. You know what that's doing? It's telling me that you guys are going to have to choose something. Let's see, once or twice, a third time, one more time. All it's rolled is 3s and 6s tonight. All right, let's come back and see what that means over here. So 6 on the what is a line painter. A sign painter, line painter. A sign painter. But we can do anything. We got a lot of people in the chat tonight. So I'm going to open it up for pitches. What do you think? It doesn't have to be anything on here. What would you like the third drawing tonight to be? What, who, and what? And, of course, I'm reserved the right to kind of tweak and tinker with what you put there, but I'm going to give you a minute or so for folks listening to come in and put in suggestions. This is going to be open call for suggestions. The Mind Flayer with a paintbrush in each tentacle. I never really thought of them actually using the tentacles as hands. And for those of you who aren't big D&D folks, Mind Flayers are those weird, creepy little octopus-headed things. They've got tentacles on their mouths, and usually I will have drawn them if you've seen me draw them for here. Very often they're grasping onto someone else's head because they are Mind Flayers. They eat the thoughts and brains of others. So chef is a possibility. What kind of chef though, Becky? What kind of creature or what should the chef be doing that's not chefing? I mean, like a chef on a roller coaster, or we can all kinds of mix it up possibilities here. But a Mind Flayer could be a Mind Flayer chef, I suppose. Could be anything, and like I say, could be Cat in the Hat or Spider-Man. Julia Childs as a dragon. So we got a dragon chef. Bon appetit! All right, I'm gonna get out of here and at least begin the process of scribbling something. Flambe. I'm trying to decide which way. So here's the thing. I don't know. As you think about it, continue to put things in there. When I'm doing a drawing, one of the first things I have to decide is whether it's going to be looking left, looking right, or kind of looking straight on. That's a decision, and usually it's going to be one of the sides, particularly for this kind of cartooning. Straight on is it's not harder, but it's harder to get emotions, and it's harder to get an interplay between any two characters. So it's going to have to go. So I'm trying to decide if the dragon's going to be off to this side or off to this side. I've done both tonight. If we look back, to turn off 3 and look, we had everything's going to the left here, and we're going to the right there. I don't know if you noticed that. I did that on purpose. So right now I'm trying to decide which direction we're going with the with our dragon. Oh, CKB says fez. I do love fezzes. That is certainly not a weakness of mine, but a soft spot. I do love a fez. Hey, Lala, glad you could make it. I'm glad you caught me too. Welcome. And you know that now you're here. Lala, you show up, and I immediately think of things like, if you haven't yet, if you've been watching and you're having fun, wherever you're watching, do me a favor and click the like button. Like or thumbs up, whichever is the that particular venue gives you as an option. It helps me out a lot. I love drawing fezzes, but I don't want to go away. We came in with a chef idea, and I don't want to lose that. But it could be one of those tall, the kind you find in restaurants, rather, or hotel chefery, as opposed to classic poofy-hatted toques. I didn't know you were going to say it, Lala, but I do know you say it a lot, and that it's smart, and I should say it more often. All right, so now that body is very short and stubby, which is going to make it difficult for me to do anything like have a mixing bowl. There we go. You know what? I'm liking this, and here's what the chef is going to say. And I remember Julia Childs, because I do remember watching Julia Childs. My mother was a fan, saying things like, now you whisk the dickens out of it. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Lala says, I have to draw stick figures for Gretchen's channel today for Sunday. Okay, I do. I wish you luck. I was on, Lala had me on as a guest on her crafting show earlier in the month, and I have to tell you, one of the things we were working on was doing quick, loose drawings like this. And I'm going to remind you, Lala, that you gotta see how I start all my drawings. These quick. I've already added a lot to this. So I start off. Let me turn that off for a second and use the colors for a second. I'm starting off with shapes like this, rough shapes and sketchy sketches, and a lot of beginner drawings. And I'm sorry to point it out for you, Lala, but you're here and you're reminding me. So I'm going to make an example of you. You will start off and you start drawing with heavy lines and trying to get the line right. You gotta rough it out, and get there. And that is going to help so much when you learn to just relax and start off with a loose shapes until you see something you like, and then you start adding more on top of it. And even that, you can change that and keep that loose. And that's not just for you. I'm using you as an example, but everyone here that I talk to about drawing, when you're drawing yourself, I encourage you. I highly encourage you to keep that, use that in your style when you're drawing. Don't start by putting hard lines down. Find the shapes that you want to work with. Think about them. Change them. Put something else in instead. Have a little go at it. And then after you've had a chance to look at it for a while, and you start to see the thing you want to do, well, then you go in. So now that I put those on, now I'm going to start putting in harder lines. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to start here where I'm going to do the same place I started before. I'm going to go with his snout. Everything's going to work around this snout. Now here's another thing we look at, because it's cartooning. You can do things that they say, it doesn't have to be correct. It just has to not feel wrong. So we look at this. I've got both of the eyes. Just think about this. We've got both of the eyes on one side of the nose. If this is the snout, then it's going back like that, right? If you try and think of it in 3D terms. That would be the shape of the snout. And things come across like that. But I've got both eyes. Because it's a cartoon, I want you to be able to see them. I shift them over, and it doesn't bother you because it's the level of reality of this drawing lets that be okay. And so there's also an advantage to working in a cartoony style, is it gives you a lot of extra freedom to do things. I don't want to say wrong, but to play around with reality. You're not hemmed in by the way things work in real life. Find a way to capture the idea without having to be photorealistic, or even semi-photorealistic. You can get the feeling right. People will love it. So why is it, Lala, that you are going to be doing stick figures? What is it that Gretchen is going to be, that you're going to be doing on Gretchen's show this weekend, did you say? Sometime soon? Sunday? What's what are the stick figures going to be for? I want to get the bowl to feel nice and big like that. And tell you what I want to do here. So I've got this looking pretty good. We've got the hand holding the whisk. I don't want to do too much, but I'm going to want to give the hand the idea that it's moving some. And in order to add to that, I also want to have have what's in the bowl be slopping around. So I'm going to, having taken that time to get the bowl just like I want it, I'm going to erase some of it so I can have it be slopping around. And then I can put some of these movement lines around the hand and the whisk. In fact, I want to make it slop out even more than that. So I have a big slop. Big slop. I see Lala has answered my question somehow, but I haven't looked up enough to be able to read it yet. That's the problem with asking questions and saying, "Go on, write it in the chat." I've got to read it, but I also need to look down in order to do my drawing. All right, let's. In fact, we'll have the bowl shaking a little. And let's do this again. Now, oops. W's are hard. W's are hard. My penmanship has always been pretty bad. I have to work uh, very hard to get it so that when I do a cartoon, I've developed a good enough handwriting style that it looks okay. But when I just write for myself, I'm just writing, my handwriting is still terrible. Terrible. Big difference between doing cartoon lettering and writing a note to myself. Here we go. And now I'm going to do that same thing I do again, where I draw a roughly circular thing, let the program pull it back for me. Now, I was about to do the same thing I did um, with the Griffon and give the underside of the feet a little bit of a color change, but I'm not going to do that. Michael says it would have been fun to be a letterer in the old days of comics. You may think that, Michael. That does not sound like fun to me at all. I mean, I certainly started in an age when there was no choice but to do my own lettering. And I never got anywhere further than pretty good at it. Acceptable. Now, I'm not even going to say pretty good. I'm going to say I never got any further than acceptable. I certainly have found my own style. It's acceptable and it's my style. So both of those are good things. But, boy, it's a pain in the patoot. Okay, you know what? I'm going to grab all that and make it bigger on the page so that our dragon takes up more of the page. And now, let's add some colors to this. What color dragon would you guys like? I'm going to start with the clothing so you guys can have a chance to weigh in. Now, you're going to have to weigh in quickly because there's not much to do with the clothing and the bowl. But that's where I'll start. We could have a red dragon for sure. We could have a blue dragon. Have a green. It doesn't even have to be standard dragon colors. What color dragon should we have here doing the French chef? I can see some messages coming on, so hopefully you're giving me color suggestions for the dragon because there's not a lot left here for the rest of it. I'm gonna do the mixing bowl, kind of a silvery color, and brown handle here for the whisk. And maybe a chocolatey color for what is in the whisking bowl. Now here again, I don't look at what I was just doing there. So I'm putting colors in, and I've got no lines. I'm doing the stuff sloshing around. I want to have that feeling that it's sloshing in the bowl too. So I'm just, instead of filling out the full colors, I'm creating what's basically more of these little teardrop shapes within the bowl, and that gives the idea that it's happening. It's again, it's not much, right? You look at it as the person doing it, and you can say, "Yeah, I didn't do much on that," but for your audience looking at it, that's going to read like it's sloshing around in there. All right, let's see what we got here. Greg says pink. I suggest pearl. The most artistic I can be. I stole my font from the art class. There you go. You know what? Whatever resources you got. All right. No one else is chiming in on it. Well, Greg says pink. You said, I'm not quite sure what color I would use for pearl. I mean, it's kind of like this color. And pearl is a very white, off-white maybe I don't know. I think maybe Greg is going to get the winning vote from your side. Sorry, Becky. I'm going with Greg. You can go with that kind of pearlescent color for the underbelly. We'll look and see how that goes. And you see again, I'm doing the shapes within the shapes to help create that extra bit of feeling of contour and texture. Going to put a little darker pink, and not a bright dark, like a dark, a dirty dark pink there for the ridges. Let's go back to that pearlescent color. How does that look as a... Yeah. Yeah. That works nice. It's like a teamwork there. Good teamwork there at the Meyer home. And then come back for not as dark as I'd done before. Not as dark as the ridges, but a darker version to do a little bit of shading. To help create, again, more on that texture. That's I think we're about done there. We've got a pink dragon chef, Julia Childs inspired chef. Now you whisk the dickens out of it. How many of you actually remember watching Julia Childs on television at all? I mean, I guess it's in reruns and all over the internet, so probably a lot more people. But I remember when the French Chef was a show. Like I say, my mother really liked it and used to put it on. As a kid, I hated that. I was like, you put on the cooking show again. But I'm glad I got to watch it. I have memories of it. Just have a glass of wine. Oh, just a glass of wine keeps everything going so smoothly. Just Julia Child's kitchen replica in the American Museum. Yeah, over at the Smithsonian. I bet that I'm sure that was a terrific little exhibit. I've never been to the Smithsonian where they do the television. Like they had the set of MASH and a lot of the Starship Enterprise, the original Enterprise model. Well, it says I'm from the Philippines, so I didn't really know, but I guess she's famous. She's famous for introducing French-style cooking. She studied in France and wrote a book. I don't remember the name of the book, but she did a cooking show. And one of the things about her, she was not what you expect. Just kind of, she was a very, very tall woman and very broad shoulders. She was a big, big person, and she had this very delicate voice, and she was very. I didn't say she's very. Not sure old-fashioned, but uh, um, conservative. Well, not conservative. Has a very political sense, but she did classic style French cuisine. That's what she was teaching you, the basis of classic French cooking, and she was anything but what you expected out of a classic French chef. Certainly not in the early 1970s. I'm realizing now that I've got to come in here and just add a little more. One more thing, the bowl needs a little bit of under shading too. There we go. I don't know why I care that much, but it's so helpful. There we go. There we go. Dragon, chef, doing French cuisine. Mwah! C'est magnifique. Bon appetit. Joy of cooking. Joy of cooking. Thank you, Becky. Yes, that was the book and the name of the show, too, right? I think the follow-up was The French Chef, but Joy of Cooking was her book and her show. Chef's kiss. Mwah! Just right on. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another evening of impromptu cartooning. Improv was the word I actually wanted. Improv cartooning. We did, of course, a dragon doing Julia Child's French cooking. We did Griffon working on the construction construction crew. And we did adventurers as valet parkers. Valet parking. Valet parkers? Yes. Valets. No, valet is something different. Anyway, that's what we did tonight. I'm going to pull that off the screen and pull me back out alone and say again, thank you for joining me. It's been great. As I've revealed a couple of secrets tonight. One is that my birthday's in October and I'm going to be 60. And so you can all begin to think about how you want to wish me happy birthday, because I like to be wished happy birthday. The other thing I revealed is that weekend of my birthday, I will be in Madison, Wisconsin for Gamehole Con. So if you're going to be at Gamehole Con, drop me a note. Now that I brought that up here, I'm going to begin to think about things I might do to try and set up a little meetup or other impromptu events, because I'm not a guest. Don't blame the show for that. I had no idea I could even make it. Everything just kind of fell together recently. So I'll be around. I'll probably pop in. I know a bunch of people who are guests. I may pop in and see if I can become a surprise extra member on some panels. But we'll see. In the meanwhile, my pleasure seeing you all. We've still got a couple of weeks left in August. Two more weeks before we roll over into September. Let's enjoy the summer. I hope that while you're enjoying the summer, you'll go out and do some drawing along with everything else. Bring a little notebook or sketch pad to the beach or wherever you're going. Just draw for fun. That's what this is all about. So until next week, I'm going to say thank you for joining me. Oh, click like. Give me a thumbs up. Do all the fun stuff. And I'll see you next Thursday for another Random Encounter.